Hey everybody, welcome back. Gwyned doing standard Pauper Deck-Tech, playing my America's In deck, and this is game 2. I won the first one, and so my opponent chooses to play, and we're off. So once again here, this is a little bit harder of a keep, simply because 4 lands, not a whole lot of early action. Obviously, Seagate Oracle is good. 4C it has the potential to be really good, but it's it's not a card I actually like to see too much in my opener, because 4 mana often seems like it's a long way to go, and if turn 4 your only action so far has been to play 4C, you're really not in great shape. So while it's a great card, it's not always necessarily something I want to see in my opener, and that's actually in fact why I only have 3 of them in the deck, because I feel like you put 4 in, it increases your odds not only of seeing 1 but of potentially seeing 2 in your opener. But still, obviously an easy keep. And here, drawn into the Royal, and just play out my Evolving Wilds, getting set up on mana, just kind of like we always do. Lone Missionary on my opponent's side, and I find another Stagger Shock. Play out the Kabira, didn't have a turn 2 play anyway. Opponent will swing in here with the Lone Missionary, and finds himself his own Seagate Oracle. That's really it's hard to have a better line of play early than that for a for America's End, or for any of these, America's deck. The ability to, get that life gain early off the Lone Missionary, draw an extra card off the Seagate Oracle, have your defense set up. That's just a great way to start. So here, draw yet another land, but got 3, able to use my Oracle here. Again, pretty easy here. Go ahead and keep the Burst Lightning, and just pass the turn back. My opponent finds a very early Squadron Hawk. It's again a great start. Able to control the air here. Gets 2 out pretty early, and obviously that's going to be a very difficult thing for me to deal with. Helps that I do have some Stagger Shocks in my hand, and in fact that's exactly the direction I'll go. Go ahead and start Stagger Shocking my way through them, and hope that I'm able to make a difference that way. I kind of feel like that's the main reason why you keep Stagger Shock, is because the ability to get 2-for-1s, and 2-for-1ing off those Squadron Hawks is a great way of dealing with them. But my opponent, of course, has all of them out and continues to pump them out. And really here my board is looking pretty sad, considering my opponent's just way ahead here. Even though I've been able to Stagger Shock, he really is just pretty far ahead here. But he's down to 2. Find a Lone Missionary to keep me in the game, but also continue another Stagger Shock to whittle down his Squadron Hawks is really great draw. Finds a 4C here. Man, it's hard to see much more devastating than a 4C on your opponent's side. Kind of does the traditional 2 on bottom, 2 on top, and it's just really starting to pull ahead. Again, he's got definitely, just looking at the size of our libraries and cards in hand, he's already got a pretty significant advantage there. So pinging me for 1, no big deal there. Take out that last Squadron Hawk. Don't have to at least worry about those this game. Find another land. Draw a 4C of my own. Terramorphic Expanse is not that great, but certainly the ability to the Seagate Oracle and another Burst Lightning are great finds here. So go ahead and put those on top, and put the other 2 on bottom. I'll leave a Mountain up in case I need it. Now see here, my opponent plays a Calcite Snapper. Now this to me is an interesting inclusion. This has been pretty standard for this deck to include them. I actually don't like them here. If you've got Halimar Wave Watch in the deck, I kind of feel like they do similar purposes. Obviously the Calcite Snapper in fact cannot be destroyed, whereas the Halimar Wave Watch actually can, although typically to do so it's got to be a 2-for-1. But the ground just isn't clear often enough for Calcite Snapper really to be that effective. This deck also included Deaf Duelist a lot, and again I feel like it's the same situation. While they're both good cards, the ground is not clear all that often, and the sacrifice you have to make to get it clear are just so much that it just doesn't seem like it's worth it to me. Certainly those instances where you can have a clear ground board and you can swing in for 4 off of a popped fetch land, obviously that's pretty good, but I don't feel like that happens all that often. I actually included Calcite Snappers in my sideboard as well, and regretted it. I would have been much happier replacing them with Oblivion Rings in retrospect, because I think that would have been much better inclusion, would have given me some options against some other cards that I don't really have any way of dealing with. So, in any case, that's what he does. Now, again, Rupture Spire here is an interesting choice, but I felt like one of the ways you can lose in Paupers to not be able to fix your mana and not have the colors that you need, and so that's why it's in here. Go ahead and get rid of his core Skyfisher, again trying not to let him have control of the air, and continue to leave everybody back and just hope to control the ground. But my opponent finds another Seagate Oracle and is continuing. Still got lots of cards in hand. Bounces it with the core Skyfisher, which is again just such a backbreaking move. Very difficult to recover from. I find my own Seagate Oracle, so continue to draw. The Vithian Stinger is nice, but not really all that powerful anymore. Already dealt with his Squadron Hawk, so its purpose has kind of already been fulfilled. He doesn't have a lot of other 1 toughness guys that I'm really worried about. The Lone Missionary, but that's really not that big a deal, and he's able to swing in here unopposed in the air, and then takes it out, the Vithian, with his Stagger Shock. I do find my own Squadron Hawk, which is nice. Take out his own core Skyfisher, play the Rupture Spire, and go and wait on the Squadron Hawk. Got lightning bolts and Stagger Shocks just flying everywhere. He really is pretty much whittling through my board very quickly, and in fact has enough burn that he's able to completely wipe out my ground forces and swing in for a bunch here, putting me in pretty sad shape. And the fact that he draws another 4C is going to end up really just putting sealing deal. Finds 3 cards to put on top, leaving only 1 on the bottom, and I'm really in sad shape. Drawing a Terramorphic certainly isn't helping, but there's just not a lot here. Can Seagate Oracle here, and certainly find some more burn, which is nice. Obviously, Vithian Stinger is not what I need at this point, but I'm just so far behind. Even the ability here to start pulling out my Squadron Hawks is not going to really be enough for me to recover from this game, as you're going to see. So go and run out the second one. Got some air forces now, but again, 24 to 13. He has yet another Stagger Shock, is able to take out both Squadron Hawks, and it's not a pretty picture. Finds his own Wave Watch here. I have no way of dealing with it, and just in serious trouble here. And yet another 4C. I mean, 3 4Cs in a game, it's really hard to recover from that. That's really bad news. And so I continue to draw some lands. It seemed to be the trend this game, lots of lands. Now here, that was a clear mistake, in case that happened too fast there, sorry about that. Played it into the Royal. That's actually not a terrible move, but it only really works if I'm going to do it in an instance where once the Halmar Wave Watch comes back in, I'm going to be able to Burst Lightning it. Bouncing it there, I just wasn't thinking. Sure, it goes back to his hand and delays him a turn, but it doesn't actually change anything because he just replays it the next. Now, if I had waited and had a Lightning Bolt in hand or had enough mana to Burst Lightning, that would have been the right play, because then I could have gotten rid of it and held it off, but as it was just clearly a mistake on my part. So at this point, there's not a lot else that I'm going to be able to do here. I'm really just dead on board now. He's going to be able to bring out that Wave Watch, pump it up, and just begin to get in for a ton of damage. Finds yet another 4C. That's his 4th 4C. So, again, you want to know how to win a standard Pauper match, or I'm sorry, a standard Pauper game. Find 4 4Cs. I mean, yeah, that's pretty incredible. So continues to swing in. I'm able to kind of hold him back, but you can kind of see I'm in trouble. Here, Stagger Shock does very little for me. Go ahead and take out the Lone Missionary, but doesn't do a whole lot. And really, there too, that might have been a mistake. If I had played the Stagger Shock on the Halmar Wave Watch instead, and then Burst Lightning it, I could have taken it out. And I think at this point, I really was just so tilted about the land, and I just felt like this match had already gotten away from me. That really would have been a much better option. I think could have gotten rid of it and not had to deal with it here like I am. I just wasn't thinking. Would have been a much better play, and I think I just completely missed it. No, in fact, I did see it. Okay, I just waited. Did it a little later, and I think I should have, but I do go ahead and take that out. But attacking in with one lone Squadron Hawk is not going to do a whole lot. And he's going to swing in. But see, he has another one, and once he's got another one, I really have no way of dealing with it. And he's able to pump it up and really just get ready to swing back in. And I find one of my own here, but it's just too little, too late. Having only 9 life left, there's no way that I can race in this kind of situation. Again, the one little point from the lone Squadron Hawk is pretty much meaningless at this point. So he's going to pump up the Wave Watch, and that's going to pretty much be game. Swing in here, and then he's got a Lightning Bolt to finish me off, and that is how that particular game ended. So pretty brutal, but again, when your opponent has 4/4Cs, it's going to be hard for you to do anything, and I feel like I missed a couple of key plays as well. So see you in game 3.